The Los Angeles Rams, I almost called them the St. Louis Rams. They're the Los Angeles Rams now, traveled to the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles took away a thrilling victory of 33-26. Philly's top 5 graded players here that we have on the day. Linebacker Zack Baun at the very top of the list with an elite 90.3 overall grade. Wide receiver A.J. Brown with an 82.0, thanks to one of the most impressive weight room yelling second halves you will ever see from a wide receiver. Defensive tackle Jordan Davis, the play of the game, blocking the field goal, returning it for a touchdown at the end of the game, 81-7. Defensive tackle Moro Ojomo with an 80.8. Linebacker Jihad Campbell with a 76.1. Quarterback Jalen Hurts in this one, a 73.0. On the Rams side of things, their cornerback Quentin Lake is at the top of their list with a 91.2. Defensive tackle Poona Ford an 85.5. Wide receiver Puka Nacua an 83.8. Jared Verse, their pass rusher, an 81.5. Running back Kyron Williams with an 80.0. And then Matthew Stafford in this game, a 69.2. Stat that told the story, Dalton.
Honestly, it's the two block field goals. Obviously, the Jordan Davis one is going to live forever. That highlight and him scoring that touchdown. It hit, 18.5 miles per hour on that play for Jordan Davis. I mean, if there's anybody nobody has ever wanted to score a touchdown more than Jordan Davis on that play. But I think it just comes down to, you look at yes, we can break down the anatomy, the comeback. It was 26-7. A.J. Brown was absolutely heroic in the second half as well. They made enough stops, but at the end of the day, the Rams had one field goal in the fourth quarter that, if it's not blocked by Jalen Carter, would have put him up 8, and then you feel pretty good about where you're at, right? And then Stafford, they drove down for the game winner, and Jordan Davis blocked. I got to wonder when's the last time a team had 2 blocked field goals in one game, right? I just think this Eagles team right now, and it's ever since early last year after their bye week, they're just feeling the magic. I mean, you look, since week 5 of last season, they've lost one game. And that's when Jalen Hurts got hurt, and Kenny Pickett, that was Kenny Pickett against the Commanders. And even that took Jaden Daniels winning as the clock expired, right? I mean, you're just talking about this team understands that at any point, they're never out of a football game. I mean, if you're going to beat them, you have to beat them 26-7. It almost has to stay there the entire way, because, and the Rams, you look at even their highest graded players, all their best players played well. Stafford was good enough to win. Nakua's great. Verse, Poona Ford. This game is the entire reason they signed Poona Ford. And honestly, they stopped the run pretty well throughout this game. The Eagles they have that just championship pedigree now, where they're going to find in any of the 3 phases, and in this game is really all 3 of the phases, they're going to find a way to win the game. They have that.
They have the highest floor of any team in the NFL.
Absolutely.
And it is not even close. You know, it's funny that you kind of talk about them that way. Did you see the clip afterwards of Jalen Hurts' reaction for the block punt?
Stone cold, like always.
It is as if like nothing was going on. And a lot of people are watching that clip and they're like, this man's like a psychopath. He's crazy. That's why the Eagles do this. That's why they've won, what is it, like 19 out of their last 20 or something, like whatever it was, like something close. That is why. That's why. Because their quarterback and the leader of their team and their offense is as even-keeled as humanly possible. There is nothing that rattles that dude. And obviously it looks funny when you have a game-sealing blocked field goal and he's showing no emotion. But genuinely, like that is how they are never out of any game. That's how they come back in this game, because it's just on to the next series, on to the next throw, on to the next play. So Philly, for as much as we might, nitpick, and I really do think it's nitpicking with how good this team is, the ceiling of what they might be every single week, this team has one of the highest floors of any team that we've watched over a long, long time, given the winning streak that they have, given the fact I don't even know if I can really say this, but I'm tempted to say, like, the Rams were the better team in this game.
For the most part, yeah.
They held the Eagles to 3 plays or less on 6 straight drives. I'm not even talking about the Rams on offense. I'm not even talking about Stafford or Nacua or Devontae Adams or Kyron Williams. I'm not even talking about them. Their defense held the Eagles to 3 or fewer plays on 6 straight drives in this game. And they lost. And it's just a hat tip of just what a wagon this Eagles team is.
And I think it gives you an idea, because we've seen this from other teams the last couple of years now. The Rams have now lost 3 in a row to this Eagles team the last 2 years. The Commanders are right in the NFC title game. It just goes to just represent, in the NFC, no matter how good the Packers are, no matter how good the Rams or the Vikings or the Commanders or Tampa or whoever else, and I know the Bucs have beaten them a couple of times recently, but this is the hurdle you have to get over. If you're the Rams at this point, after this game, especially last year they couldn't stop the run, Saquon got him. After this game now...
Yeah, but even I've even said, like, in that playoff game, if that's not a snow game, I think that game is different.
Agreed.
I genuinely think the Rams could have beaten them last year.
And at this point, and the Rams do have some offensive line issues, but at this point for the Rams, beating this team is mental.
Yes.
It's just going to be the hurdle. The Rams are really darn good. The D-line is one of the best in the league. The receiving core, Stafford still got it. Their offensive line needs some work. They got to get healthy in there. And again, just like last year, that's the one Achilles heel in a football sense. But against this team, who's the final hurdle before getting to a Super Bowl, now it's mental. Yeah. I really think so. The snow game is what it is, and they were ahead in that game. They were well ahead in this game. Most teams, you're up 26-7. You're on cruise control.
Right.
It just didn't happen. It just represents to me any team, you have to find a way to beat this team head-to-head, just like it is generally with Kansas City in the AFC.
The Eagles are Alabama, in my opinion.
Yep.
They really are, where you have to get over the mental hurdle of beating Alabama before you line up. And that's how I feel about the Philadelphia Eagles now. You have to get over the mental hurdle, or the game's already lost before it gets kicked off. You're most impressive and disappointing in this one.
Look, give me Jordan Davis, man. I mean, not just the blocked field goal and returning it and running 18.5 miles an hour to his size, but a 78 run defense grade, 7 positive grades in run defense. And you know what might be more impressive than the speed on the touchdown? Did you see the chase down sack that he had on Stafford? And Stafford had the angle to get to. I mean, 3rd and 2. I think it's 3rd and 2. Matt Stafford has the angle to get to the sticks, and Jordan Davis runs him down all the way to the sideline for a sack to get a 3rd down stop. He looks fantastic. And I mean, honestly, even though Milton Williams left, this is still probably the best group of defensive tackles in the league. And then, like I mentioned, on both sides of the ball, and the Eagles have maybe an injury situation with Lane Johnson, but I look at both sides of the ball, the interior of these two offensive lines, they got massacred in this game. The Eagles with a 54.1 grade from their interior 3. The Rams with a 41.6. They're the more concerning one to me, because even through this start, and they're 2-1 and they've looked good, they should have been 3-0 if they, if you ask them with this game. Their offensive line is still the biggest problem. It's the biggest weakness on this team. I think with Stafford and the veteran presence he is, do you need the best O-line in the league? No, but this team's got to. This offensive line at least has to start playing average football for the Rams.
I think the stat that told the story, which could be most disappointing for the Rams, is 1 for 4 in the red zone. You settle for field goals twice. 2 of them get blocked. So converting those obviously allows you to put this game away a little bit more. You don't think that 2 of those field goals are going to get blocked, but it is what it is. That goes into red zone success. Anytime you're kicking a field goal, you never know what's going to happen, whether it's a miss, whether it's a block, whatever that is. So I think that was sort of disappointing from the Rams to look back and make sure that they want to finish those with touchdowns more often, as any team would. And I'll tell you, most impressive to me is Zack Baun, man. I was just having this conversation. Well, I think we were talking about it yesterday when we were all watching the games together. Fred Warner makes a great play for the San Francisco 49ers, and we just go, man, does Fred Warner hold the biggest gap between the number 1 player at any position in the NFL and whoever number 2 is? Does Fred Warner have the biggest space between him and number 2? And I think the answer is yes. Zack Baun's closing the gap,
putting up a fight, man.
He really is. And I know that Fred Warner's been doing it at an elite level for longer, but we're stacking back-to-back seasons now. Baun, very clearly the player that he was last year, just in another year in that system, and he's been unbelievable. So if he continues to play like this, I mean, that gap is going to get closer and closer and closer, where you're going to have to talk about both of these guys as the best linebackers in the NFL.